How are we as entrepreneurs supposed to balance growing our businesses, all while still networking, still managing the business, all while still making sure we get paid on time, making sure that we hire the right people, all while still having time and energy to invest in our own personal development, and while still having free time to enjoy our lives? Is this even possible? Yes, you can, but only if you think in systems. My name is Kevin Kabu, and I've spent the last 10 years of my life building a digital and creative agency from zero to an award-winning top 5 contender in the industry. And all through that journey, I've seen the pivotal role that systems and systems thinking have played in our success. From going from feeling overwhelmed and as if we're not making any progress, to at least seeing the fruits of our labor and the progress towards the goals that we have set. In this video, I describe what thinking in systems is, why it's important, where it applies, and how to apply it in your business for you to scale, grow, and achieve success. Let's get into it. So what do I mean by a system? A system simply means a structured process for achieving a specific outcome, right? And why are these things important? I know these are very basic things, but I wanted to introduce a concept of systems thinking. So systems thinking is just looking at how is it that we would be able to achieve what we've set out to do, whether we have motivation or not, and whether we have willpower or not. So it brings in an element of also minimums, and that's where processes come in this structure, because it's very easy for us to blast through whatever we want to do when we have the energy, when we're motivated, when we have the willpower. But more often than not in life, especially as entrepreneurs, that doesn't happen. And it even becomes more complex when you're dealing with multiple people. So that's why it's important. Systems thinking just helps us blast through and achieve our goals, regardless of whether we have willpower or whether we are motivated. It's basically having processes in place that enable us to achieve what it is we've set out to do. And James Clear in Atomic Habits puts it very well when he says, we don't rise to the level of our goals, we fall to the level of our system. So when things are bad, when we don't have the energy, when we're sick, what are these small things that we can do that form a process that enable us to still move in the direction of our goals? And where does this apply, especially in business? There are 3 key areas where it applies. Number 1 is where you have decision fatigue. And decision fatigue, I define it as where you have to make multiple decisions in a day, every day, around simple or repetitive things. So I want to give you an example. So let's say you're seated in your office and someone comes in, knock, 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 come in, and they're like, okay, so we have a client who wants to give us a very urgent project. The turnaround time is 24 hours. But here's the thing, we don't have a purchase order, we don't have a contract with them. What do we do? And just as you're about to answer that question, someone else is right behind them and saying, excuse me, we've gotten a request for quotation for a different job from a different client. And I just wanted to ask, how much should we charge? And before you can even address that issue, someone else walks in and is like, Jane is late again for the 3rd time in a row, and it's affecting the delivery of a specific project that we have. What should we do? Okay, so these are real life situations that happen to us as entrepreneurs. So if we look at where systems come in handy, they come in handy in such areas where there's too many decisions to make around repetitive things. So for example, in the first case where someone walks in and is like, client wants an urgent job, turnaround times are short, and we don't have any paperwork, we don't have a purchase order, we don't have a contract in place. The course of action there following systems would just be a policy around, if we don't have a purchase order, then we won't take on the work. And a second layer would be, for jobs of this nature, the turnaround time is not 24 hours, it's 48 hours. So having that in place already reduces the decision that you have to make, because all you'll do is reference that. So you don't have to start thinking about it anew. All you say is, do we have a purchase order? No, so we can't take on the work. And our turnaround time for these jobs is this. And you can also leave there telling them, and next time, reference those policies before you come and ask me. So that's in the first case. In the second case, without a system, You're left there scrambling, okay, maybe we should charge X, Y, and Z, or because you have all the experience, you already know the prices. But with the system, all you just need to do is have a rate card in place and point them to that rate card, even for yourself, even if you are the one who's costing for something as an entrepreneur, just referring to a rate card or previous jobs of the same nature, how much have you charged? And that's a system. That's where systems come in. And the third one, where someone has come in late, it's how do the workflows work? Is it only one person in charge, or does someone have a support system? That's on the side of the workflow. So it's assigning the work to someone else who can do the work. And then on the disciplinary issue, it's having a specific way in which you address such issues. So let's say someone is late 2 days in a row. It's addressed there and then through a meeting. So if someone is late, have a meeting with them, find out what the issue is. If that lateness continues and the conversation has been had, then what happens? A verbal warning, for example. So these are where systems really come in, where you have a lot of areas where you need to make decisions, and decision fatigue is a result. The second area is where you want to get repeatable results. And I want to give you an example of this in a sales process. So let's say there are 3 ways in which a prospect or a lead can get in touch with your business when they're looking for what you have to offer. So the first one is they can call the number that is on your website, or they can call the number on Google My Business, or they can even call you, the founder or your sales lead. So calls is the first way. The second way is they go to your website and they click on chat with us on WhatsApp, and they can chat with you on WhatsApp. That's the second way. They can call you to inquire about your products or services. And the third way is they fill in the contact form on your website and it comes through as an email. So these are 3 ways. Now, where you want to get repeatable results, systems come in. So you can set up a system where when anyone reaches out, whichever channel it is, the next course of action is to book a physical meeting or book a virtual meeting or give them a call at a specific time. So if this happens, if any one of these channels are hit up, then the next course of action is being able to have a meeting with that prospect where you set out what you're going to do. So it's like a discovery call, or if it's a business, a physical location, they can come in, they can try. It's about, if it's a service like physiotherapy, they can actually come to the location. So with this, what you're doing is you're trying to get a repeatable result that you can even measure. So you can even set a KPI that we normally have to book 10 calls every week from any of our sources of lead generation. And this is pivotal for a business that is trying to grow, achieve its outcomes, because leads are downstream. Anything that is revenue is downstream of lead generation. So leads are what lead to money into the business. The third area is where you want to reduce errors and inefficiencies. So let me give you an example. Let's say you are looking for someone who does merchandising, and you have a friend who usually prints out t-shirts for his business, and you're like, hey, give me the number of someone who I can use. So if you have ever had this experience, maybe you can relate to it. You get the number from a friend, you ask them for a rate card and tell them, so give me your number. And then you reach out to them and then you give them business, and then you end up dissatisfied because maybe you didn't match the needs of your business to the supplier. There was no way of finding that out. So if you want to reduce such errors in that particular example, what you could do is, number one, you ask for more than one referral. So you ask multiple people to give you multiple referrals so that you can widen your pool. Already that's a process you're setting in place. Then number two, you ask them for a company profile. And if someone doesn't give you a company profile, you write them off immediately. Okay? Because you're just trying to put, for example, a case in place that if someone is a serious business, then they'll take the time to design a company profile. And I only want to work with serious businesses, for example. Then number three, you come up with a list of questions that you'll ask each of these suppliers based on your needs. Number four, you go and visit them. You go and actually see their place of operation. Number five, get a list of people who've done business with them other than the people who referred you. And then ask them to finally, as number six, fill in a Know Your Supplier form, which captures details that can help you do due diligence. So what's their CR12, company registration, KRA PIN, tax compliance, all those things. So within this other area, and I've actually experienced this, going through that route enables you to reduce the errors when you're engaging with suppliers, for example. And here we're talking about where systems come in to help us reduce errors. And all these things enable us to scale. They enable us to achieve our goals. They enable us to build our business as an asset and reduce the reliance on us as founders to make decisions, to ensure that we get repeatable results, and to ensure that we reduce the errors. So these are the where you normally focus when you're building systems. These are the 3 places I recommend that you start focusing on when creating systems. So how can we create these systems? I use 3 principles to guide me. Number 1, be very clear, or clarity. So being clear around your mission, vision, the standards that you hold as a company, the values that you have, make it very easy for us to create these systems, these processes. And being clear about the actual result that you want, what success looks like at the end of this process, is also fundamentally important for having something that makes sense. Because at the end of the day, what we're trying to do is use a structured process to get a specific outcome. So when we are clear on what success looks like at the end of this, then we can be able to design something that works. Number 2 is keeping it simple. And I cannot say this enough. There's no need of having wordy documents that, are so complex to read, difficult to internalize, difficult to remember, when we could break it down into a simple thing like a checklist. So have you done step 1? Have you done step 2? Have you done step 3? And it should be grade level reading. I know we're entrepreneurs, we're trying to change the world, we're doing great things, and we can also make these things very simple, because at the end of the day, we also want our teams and other people to follow these processes to get a specific outcome. So keeping it simple is extremely important. Third thing is use technology. Use tools like Notebook LM to enable you to store your policies and enable your employees and your team to chat with these policies to be able to retrieve this information faster. Use automations, for example, for the case that we had where someone was contacting you via WhatsApp, an AI automation that enables this person to speak to once they reach out to you on WhatsApp to get information and even go to the level of booking a call. That would be fundamentally great for your organization, because at the end of the day, you're keeping your leads hot. If someone messages you at 12 at midnight, it doesn't really matter. Your business can operate always on. And all this ties in to us as entrepreneurs looking at our businesses like assets. And an asset is, I define an asset as something that, whether you're awake, sleep, doing work or not, it's earning you money. And these systems and processes enable us to live that kind of life, to build those assets, and the business does not need to rely on us to achieve the goals that it has set out. That brings us to the end of today's video. If you want to learn what I think you can do to hire better for your business, please watch this video here where I go deep into it. Drop me a comment in the comment section and let me know what kind of content you want me to make more of, and I'll be sure to do that. Thank you.